Glory to Jesus Christ. Very glad to see you. We continue our reflection about icons and we're in history. So let's do the step back for remind something that we discussed last time, some ideas, not about pictures that we also saw, but about ideas. We finally, after age of catacombs, persecutions, we arrived to freedom. And the last icon that I showed you was icon of Pantocrator, the Christ, ruler of all, created by order of Emperor Justinian for monastery of St. Catherine. And this icon is significant because it's not only because this icon survived after epoch of Iconoclasm, that we will speak today about this, but important that this icon is example how iconography became connected with teaching of the Church, with official dogmatic theology of the Church. So we saw the beginning, the first pictures. They are allegorical, they are symbolical, they are from Bible, they bring different meanings. But Church in first century didn't have dogmas. The teaching of the Church was something, how does it say, natural, accepted from apostles on the level of tradition and evidence, but with heresies, with first discussions about what we really believe, was what is true, Church needed to say, to offer formulation, what is our faith. And we already discussed, if you remember, the council, the first ecumenical council of Nicaea, that happened in 4th century. And during this council that appeared because of heresy of Arius, we got our creed of Nicaea. Few years later, during Second Ecumenical Council in Constantinople, we got some correction to the creed, that it was about Holy Spirit. So it's also 4th century. First two ecumenical councils, they happened in 4th century. And we use this creed from that time. Our creed has name Nicaea Constantinople, because our creed is created there. Not created, Church believed in all of this, in things that we got from revelation by Church. During this first ecumenical councils, like offer formulation, say that this is true, this is false. And next ecumenical councils, they also were answer of the Church to different wrong teachings. For example, only for remind you, Council of Ephesus, it's 431, and this council is about Theotokos, and also its condemnation of Nestorius, with his teaching about Christ that was pretty danger, that separated Christ not only into natures but pretty into persons, divine and human, next one was Chalcedon, 451. And this one also was very significant because it was one more time against Nestorius, but also against monophysitism, about monk Eutychius, that offered another teaching that Christ is only God. Monophysitism, monophysis, one nature, only divine, not humanity in Christ. And council needed to answer that we don't believe in this. Our faith is different. So, in this way, in church appeared dogmas. The faith of the church became like a law, so we believe in this. And this time we got this special terminology, orthodoxia, that is true faith. Now it's used more for the church that is separated with Pope of Rome, but it's wrong approach to terminology, because Catholicus, it means universal, Orthodox means of true faith. In the beginning, the first millennium church was Catholic and Orthodox at the same time, because it was about true faith, the dogmas of the church that appeared through ecumenical councils, through congregation of bishops and representatives of all church. They say in what we believe, and church was one, not divided. So now we separated wrongly this terminology and use, Catholic only for Catholic Church and Orthodox for Orthodox. But original meaning of these words is, of course, not not a confession, not an institution, not a name of the church, but it's something more. It's universal and of true faith. So, coming back, ecumenical councils, they formulate the faith of the church, beliefs, and theology of the church. Why we believe in this, how we explain this, how we understand our faith. And the icon of Christ, Pantocrator, ruler of all, of St. Catherine, is example how theology is became united with iconography. It's not any more chaotic image, inspiration of some after, so I do the picture of something because I feel it. No, it's regulated by rules. We express our faith through icons, and our faith is expressed by ecumenical councils. And also I mentioned, it's also important, I mentioned about the Quinisex Council, Council of True Law, that happened in 692 in Constantinople, under the authority of Emperor Justinian II. And I mentioned about one of the canons about icons. Finally, in 7th century, we have canonical law, rules about icons. And it was about depicting Christ not as lamb, but as human, because it was against monophysitism. We have to express Christ on icons as human, because he accepted human nature. So, theology and iconography, now it's two ways to express our faith. At this point, we have to say that with freedom of the church outside of catacombs, Christianity became very, very, very fast the religion of empire. And we mentioned already about Emperor Justinian, that was great builder, that was also after of hymns and prayers that we until now use in our liturgy, and another in Paris. Iconography also got own development in this time with support and freedom. Of course, iconography was not so easy deal because it became very connected with teaching of the church. So the places where icons were made usually were monasteries or monastic environments. And of course it required some expenses. It was not cheap. So monasteries or also protection of high authorities and rich Christians for half an icon. But what we have to say that in this time, iconography jumped on another level. It became public. It became the part of Christian culture in some way. Something more than images with hidden meaning and allegorical meaning. It became public. It became Christian culture in some way. Also, we could say that I have one quote from St. Basil. St. Basil lived in 4th century, so before. He lived before between First and Second Ecumenical Council, but he already offered his thoughts about icons and about images that were used after him for express the theology of icons by, for example, St. John of Damascus, that we will speak about him next time, because his teaching became like fundamental for another ecumenical council that justified use of icons, and St. John of Damascus, he coming back to Basil pretty often. So St. Basil said, what the word of the story offers to the ear, the silent art, iconography, silent art, shows to the image. One more time. For speaking, for the story, one word has great meaning for ear. So the same silent art shows through image. What does it mean? That iconography became the gospel in pictures, the gospel in images, not gospel in preaching, not gospel in words, not verbal gospel, good news, but good news in pictures, in images. If you go to different sources, you can find this terminology, this expression of icons as Bible for poor, because many people could not read and write freely because they didn't have education. Simple, country people, slaves, in different parts of empire, but icons were Bible for them in picture. They could not read. They could listen during congregations, during liturgies, the readings, but they could not read by themselves and study. And icons were, like I said, Bible or gospel for poor people. Revelation in pictures. They could see them, contemplate them, and have some idea What about it? And it's very human, because we need something, we need something. Some people are very good in abstraction, but some people are very lateral, and we need something to smell, to understand what is it, to taste, to touch, to see. In this way, we need to compare, to get some examples. And icons were these pictures of biblical persons or biblical events for poor people that they could see and understand. So also, theological aspect. I have to say that about theology of icons we will speak next time. It will be dedicated only to theology of icons, but only for mention. Do you remember apophatic theology and cataphatic theology, negative and positive? It also was expressed in icons. Only it got the level of culture, church Christian culture, knowledge of God, understanding of God. Also was achieved in some way through icons. And how we see this? Apophatic theology, negative theology, it's contemplation of the hidden and an expressed, unexpressed God. So, for example, I see an icon and there is some image for my senses, bodily senses, but also I understand that there is invisible and hidden God that is beyond this, behind this, and I enter in contemplation to stand in front of icon, because icon, it's an image of an expressed God that is behind. It's like a curtain in Holy of Holies, Temple of Jerusalem. I stay in front, I cannot see, but I know that it's behind. And it's negative theology, hidden and unexpressed God. But also, through icons, we could leave this cataphatic, positive theology, because through contemplation of icon, we can see the manifestation of God's names, how God manifests himself to us. So, do you remember that? Negative theology, apophatic theology, it's everything about God is not God, because God is always beyond our understanding. We can experience him, but we cannot understand him, because it's too, because the cup of my mind is too small to include entire ocean. And positive theology, cataphatic theology, I can know something about God, because God appears to me in different actions. He appears to me as mercy, as love, as judge, as creator. So I know him by this name of his manifestation or appearance. And the same on icon. I can see God, for example, like old man with white beard, a beard from prophecy. I forgot how we name him in English. Please remind me. From the prophet Daniel. The Old of Days, or
Ancient of Days.
Ancient of Days. Thank you so much. Ancient of Days. So thank you. I said the cup is too small for keeping entire ocean. My mind is very limited. I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. It won't be never. So this is manifestation of God. Also, Jesus Christ, Messiah, eternal Word, incarnated, that dwelt among us. It's also a manifestation of God, who saw Christ, saw Father that sent him, because he showed to us the Father. And you see, icon at the same time represent this mystery of God and also manifestation of God, his appearance, everything there. So now we continue about theology. Next time I would like to speak now about iconoclasm, about also very important epoch in the story of the church. It took probably around 100 years when icons, images were persecuted and destroyed by orders of emperors and church authorities that were together with emperors. So, first it's the name. Icon, and cloud, to break, destroy. And what we have? Iconoclasm. We cannot really translate it in English literally. It's like breaking or destroying of icons. So we use original Greek terminology, iconoclasm. But when we say iconoclasm, please think about, this approach. These icons should be destroyed and then break. Or we could say destruction of icons. Why it was? For people that believed in iconoclasm, that made iconoclasm their faith, their ideology, they believed that they destroy pagan, wrong elements of Christian culture, that they purify Christianity from pagan inheritance, because for many centuries, even after legalization of Christianity, pagans lived together with Christians in empire. First, about reasons why it happened. Maybe I would say when it happened. And after we will speak about reasons. Emperor Leo III. Emperor Leo III lived between 717, he was emperor between 717 and 741. He was emperor at that time, 8th century. And under influence of two bishops from Asia Minor, he condemned the veneration of holy icons. And very important to remember this year for iconoclasm, because at the beginning, in this year, Leo III ordered to take away the icon of Jesus from the gate of his chamber, and also he issued the imperial decree that banned the veneration of icons in the empire. So 730, it was the law, the decree of emperor to start to destroy icon and stop veneration of icons in whole empire. Like persecution of icons and persecution also of people that venerated icons, because it was reality of the time. The imperial decree ordered to destroy holy icons, but also, destroy that, burn them, everything, to eliminate them from the Christian culture, from the Christian life, but also decree ordered about defenders of icons. They should be imprisoned, sent to exile, and even tortured if they will be against the decree. So could you imagine if you say to, I don't know, some emperor guardian that I don't want to destroy icon that is on the wall of my house, you would be persecuted, sent in exile, closed in prison, also executed. How they did this, I don't know, but probably they had approach to people to stop them venerate icons. So heavy approach. Not only stop veneration, destroy icons, but also persecute defenders of icons until prison, exile, executions, and tortures. Why it happened? Because it's difficult to imagine, Pantocrator, ruler of all, St. Catherine, catacombs, how we achieved this point, how we arrived to this, that icons are forbidden. And defenders of icons were persecuted by authorities of the empire. I brought you 3 reasons. They all important. First, it's Islam. We now accustomed that specific territories are populated by Muslims now, like Northern Africa, Egypt, Syria, Turkey, but before 7th century, I would say before, this is the year of first Arabic, Islamic, if you wish, expansion. The time of first expansion. So before this time, all this territory, they were populated by Christians. Of course, they belong to different ethnical groups, but they were all part of Iconoclasm, the Greek civilization. They were Christians. And after first expansion, second expansion that happened with very small break in 2 years. I'm sorry. Third expansion. The map of the world changed. Most of all, we speak about this and this. If you look on map, after first expansion, you will see that huge territory passed to new empire. It was created new empire. Mid-East, North Africa, Central Asia, Caucasus, Iberian Peninsula, Mediterranean. And part of this territory belonged to Byzantine Empire, part of this territories belonged to Sassanid Empire, it's Persia. that stopped to exist completely. We're interested in Byzantine Empire, so Byzantine Empire lost a lot of territories. Most of all, it's Northern Africa. And we know that many monophysites of Egypt, they were happy to accept Arabs because they believed that they will be free from emperor of Constantinople and from this official orthodoxy of the church. If you look on map after first expansion, you will see that they arrived, they occupied Spain. They occupied southern France. After Europeans got back these territories, but Spain passed to Arabic authority. Sicily was, if I'm good with my memory, Sicily was Arabic, belonged to Arabs for around 300 years, something like this. It's why Sicilian sweets are so good, because they got great influence of this dolci siciliani, the sweets, cannoli, all this stuff, sweet food. It got great influence from Arabic world and many other things. So appeared new state, new empire with huge territories, and many Christian territories passed to new Arabic empire, from Spain, so France, to almost to modern India. They occupied the entire Persian Empire. The spreading of Islam not only changed political life in the world, but it also changed cultural life in the world, because Arabs, they brought something new, Islam. Islam as religion, new religion that was rooted in monotheism, the faith in one God. It had common roots with Judaism. They also accepted Jesus Christ and Mary, but Jesus Christ for them was another prophet. But he was someone. The leader, the prophet, Muhammad, he passed away in 632. So he started first expansion. It was very fresh, new, strong religion, and thousands and thousands of people were inspired by this new revelation given to this prophet. And it's very, very Islamic that civilian authorities united with religious authority, the same one, prophet, emperor, warrior. They brought in this Greek ecumena in the world of Alexander the Great, in Roman Empire, new culture, new approach to images. And Islam has much stronger tradition of forbidding the depiction of figures. It was prohibited not only create images of angels, divine appearances. This culture didn't have even pictures of people and animals. No, it was forbidden. They could not create the picture of, I don't know, a bird, a dog, a fish. No pictures of living beings. But it it doesn't mean that culture, Arabic culture, Islamic culture was poor. No. If you study this, if you see the pictures, decoration of their houses and buildings, they developed great art of different decorations. It's different lines, letters. It's beautiful, but it's without pictures of people, human, animals, you know. And also, we cannot say that they were barbarians, because Arabic Empire, after first expansion, became a center of great intellectual and cultural life. They inherited Greek philosophy before Western Europeans, barbarians that came in empire later, that created, empire of Charles. They discovered Greek philosophy from Arabs. That Thomas Aquinas, he got his knowledge of Aristotle from Arabic translations, not directly from Greek sources, but through Arabs. So they didn't look like barbarians from East. They were strong. They really kept great culture, intellectual life, economical life, political power, and military power. And they had this culture, no images, even of animals and humans. The second reason, it's coming back to the law of Moedas in Christian theology. So imagine, Byzantine Empire that lost a lot of territories. Huge part of empire entered in new Arabic Empire. And people of Byzantine Empire, they try to understand this, accept this, so we are smaller, we lost, Christians now, they are under occupation of Arabs and Muslims. Maybe something wrong is with us, maybe we have to renovate our spiritual lives, and we're different directions. Some people say, let's go back to Bible, discover our roots. And there were some teachers that really rediscovered the law of Moedas, also having this many contacts with Arabs. Jews, they were small congregations, spread in empire without any influence. But Arabs, it became the biggest empire in that moment after first expansion. And they believed in one God, and they didn't have images. They fought with paganism. For example, was one act of Prophet Muhammad. How is correct in English? Say Muhammad or Muhammad? Muhammad. Okay, Muhammad. The Prophet Muhammad removed idols from Kaaba in Mecca. And it was considered like great act, symbolic act of purification from paganism. Also, there is tradition, a legend, we don't know whether it's true or not, I cannot discuss, but I could say that there is tradition, that Muhammad also spared a fresco of Mary and Jesus, destroyed the fresco, the icon of Mary and Jesus, because for him it was idolatry. You see, he respected Jesus, he respected Mary. Jesus was prophet for him, Mary was, mother of prophet, but their icon, it was idolatry and paganism for him. So he, by himself, personally, removed idols from Kaaba in Mecca. He destroyed fresco of Jesus Christ and Mary, and it was considered a symbolical act of purification from paganism, idolatry. And Christians now lived in the same world with these people, with this culture, with this theology. So some of the Christian teachers, bishops, they brought back the law of Moses. Do you remember Exodus 20? You shall not carve idols for yourselves in the shape of anything in the sky above, or on the earth below, or in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not bow down before them or worship them. So, and we have so many images. The third reason, and this one is its most sad reason, and I think it was very, very strong push for this Christian party of Iconoclasm. And the third reason is gross superstition. What does it mean? Did I say it correct? Superstition? Yeah?
Superstition.
Superstition, okay. So, in that time, we're here, 7th, 8th century. We have to understand that, of course, we speak about theology of ecumenical councils. We speak about teaching of the church. We speak about dogmas of the church. We speak about orthodoxy, about fathers of the church. But empire was populated not only by educated and high spiritual people. Empire was populated by different people. And education in that time it was something pretty unachievable for majority of population, like until modern times. Education was always expensive, and during human history it was differently, but usually it was not so easy to get education, high education. So Christian ideas on the low level of cultural intellectual life, they accepted different forms that were not really Christian by origins. Like I said, pagans also lived very close to Christians even after legalization of Christianity. And Christianity was spread among different ethnical, cultural, and religious groups that belong before to some pagan cult, for example. Yeah? And Christianity's idea is a seed of divine wisdom, fall down in different grounds and accepted different local customs and traditions. We will speak about this. It doesn't mean that it's negative. No. But in this context of superstition, it had some negative forms. For example, Anastasius Synaid, that lived in 7th century, he left his memory. He said, many people think that baptism is sufficiently honored by those who enter the church and kiss all the icons without paying attention to the liturgy and worship. What he said? He said about customs and a level of spiritual life of people that he dealt with them. He was upset that many Christians consider Christianity, he said, that baptism is sufficiently honored. Baptized person, Christian. That for many Christians, Christianity, practicing Christianity is not liturgy, is not worship, but it's kissing of icons. Okay? And that time we have different sources that say us about superstition in Christian environment. How it looked. For example, it looked terrible, but for example, in some places existed a custom to take icons as godparents for children. For example, you had on icon, Saint Joseph and Saint Veronica. So probably they had some tradition, some custom to keep this icon close to the child during baptism. In this way they believe that Saint Joseph and Saint Veronica will be godparents of this baptized child. In some places existed a custom to give Holy Communion from the icon. A priest put liturgical chalice with holy gifts on icon of some saint, would say Saint Athanasius. And they believed that if the chalice with holy gifts is on the icon, Saint Athanasius with his hand provides communion to people. Not a priest, but a saint. You see where we're going? The most terrible custom and practice that existed in church was, I don't think that we don't have memory that it was spread everywhere, that it was used, that it was common general custom for the church. But some sources say that it was a practice in some places. Some people, clergy people and lay people, they believed that before provide communion, after sanctification of bread and wine, after transformation, change in body and blood of Christ. In an Eastern tradition, we mix bread and wine in the same chalice. We don't separate them, like in Roman rites, everything in the same chalice. Bread and wine, body and blood. So, existed a custom to mix the paint, scrap it from icon into the Eucharistical chalice. Could you imagine a priest during liturgy that keeps an icon on altar and scraps the paint from icon in chalice because it will be more holy? You see, kissing of icons, mixing of icons, pieces of paintings in chalices, Eucharistical chalices, providing of communion from icons, belief in special care of saints if icons, considered children's parents, or if it's about adoption, or godparents in other cases during baptism. It went in wrong direction. One more time. Last lesson, we spoke about Christ ruler of all, Pantocrator, high theology, you know, the theology of ecumenical councils, and it arrived in some places to terrible low level of understanding. So it became in some places, in some environments, you know, it became as a magical approach in some way. You know, I need to scrape the paint from icon and chalice for really have blood and wine, blood and body of Christ. The holy gifts really will be holy if will be piece of icon there. It's not good to accept communion from hands of priests. We need the icon because saints should provide communion to people. So not worship, not prayer, not liturgy, but kissing of icons. It became primitive. It became pretty pagan. I saw something similar in modern world. In Orthodox Church, in old Soviet Union territories, when people without religion, they had this feeling of sacrum, of holy, but they didn't know how to worship after 3 generations of persecutions and life without God, without religious education. And for many of them, religious culture was, you know, to light a candle, to kiss an icon. It's enough. It's something visible, object that they worship. Very pagan. I also saw this in Roman Catholic environment in Europe. I saw in southern Italy, where I lived for years, great veneration to saints. And I saw approach of many people that they didn't go to church. They don't belong to parishes. They don't live liturgical sacramental life, but they keep the picture of some local saint because he, without names. I saw the picture of Padre Pio in the restroom because Padre Pio will send me money, Padre Pio will send me health, Padre Pio will take care about my business. I don't go to church, I don't pray to God, I don't, you know, go to sacraments, but I keep the picture of Padre Pio and I believe that he will protect me. It's the same approach. Primitive Christianity brought from this high level of revelation, gospel and theology to the level of simple, you know, paganic understanding of sacrum, of holy. So it became as a magical approach to venerate sacred objects. The rock, I wrote down nice word, fetishization of the icon. Did I say it correctly? Fetish. Do you know the word fetish? Fetish. So fetish. My Ukrainian mouse cannot say it. I'm sorry. Fetishization. Please forgive me. Of icons, holy icons, with all this high theology, became fetishes. You know, magic objects for worship. Please don't think that it was usual Christian life in the empire. But we have to say that high theology, this great inheritance of Father of the Church, the dogmas of ecumenical councils, they lived together with this uneducated, magic, primitive approach and practice of Christian faith. Because empire was big, and it was empire, different cultures, different ethnical groups, of course common ecumena, Greek culture, but something common, but also something very strong local. And seed of gospel, like I said, fall down on different ground in different places. We had great centers of intellectual and spiritual lives, but also we had at the same time this terrible customs. All live together in different places. You know, don't try this imagine. It's like now. It's like now. You can meet very primitive Christians with very primitive beliefs, with very pagan approach to their faith, but also in the same time, in the same parish sometimes, in the same temple, during the same liturgy, you can find people with so high level of spiritual life and theological education, understanding that written studying, Holy Revelation, theology of the church, they try to understand their faith. It's all together, the same people pray in the same temple. And it was in that time. So, you see, Islam, it's great, big push to rethink the past in theology. Also, coming back to Old Testament, to the law of Moses in Christian theology, and finally, terrible customs that lived in church in that time. And Emperor Leo III, after it, probably not that he went to sleep and wake up with these ideas. You see, it's around 100 years from the end of first Islamic expansion. It was a long time of reflection inside of the church, inside of Christian society. They brought Emperor to these conclusions with his edict in 730 to stop veneration of icon. Worship is wrong word. I'm sorry, it's my mistake. That stopped veneration of icons and also, started persecution of defenders of icons. We don't have time anymore. I speak too much. I'm sorry. Next time we will finish the story. We will speak about epoch of Iconoclasm. We will go pretty fast, step by step through this almost 100 years of persecution. And we have to arrive to a triumph of Orthodoxy, to coming back, of purification, of church veneration for icon, and to theology of icon that was offered to another ecumenical council. Okay, so we will finish history of Iconoclasm next time, and we will start to speak about theology of icons offered by Ecumenical Council of Nicaea from 787. Thank you for your attention. Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory to